Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is your certified life and relationship coach, Coach Court. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the dismissive avoidant and why they trigger the anxious attacher. Thank you for sticking around. If this is your first time viewing me, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel by clicking that subscribe button and ringing that little bell so you're notified for the newest content. Before I get into the content, if you want my help personally, reach out to me on my website at www.fruitfulseeds.com and leave me an email no longer than 2 to 3 paragraphs long, no longer than 500 words, as it makes it really difficult to respond to long emails. And also, please be patient. I am trying to get around to the emails, but I have to focus on my paying clients first. So just be patient and I will get around to you. Thank you. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the dismissive avoidant and why they trigger the anxious attacher's unhealthy behavior. But before I get into that, I want to, kind of talk to you guys a little bit about my background. I had people on my coaching calls asking me how I decided to go this route, how I decided to become a relationship coach, and why was I able to heal my style and get to where I'm at today. I didn't have to see a therapist. I didn't have to see a counselor. I just really buried myself in the material, buried myself in everything I can learn about relationships, about unhealthy behaviors, and I kind of reflected a lot and meditated a lot on the things that happened to me in the past and the previous relationships that I was in. To start it out, I kind of knew that I liked helping people. I ran a mentoring business for 15 years, and I was working with kids that were at risk, and that's kind of where I got my counseling deal from. And I graduated with a sociology degree, and sociology is kind of like the cousin to psychology. So I had to take a couple psychology classes, but that wasn't something that really intrigued me back then. I was more focused on helping people. I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, but what started me down this path was I went through a messy divorce, and then throughout that last few years of the relationship, I started to notice myself become very unhealthy as far as being able to be comfortable with myself. At this time, I was making a decent living. I was kind of confident in my work and what I did, but I was really insecure in my relationship. And things that I figured out about myself was I kind of did some self-reflection about my childhood and my upbringing. And I grew up in a pretty poor environment, and my community wasn't really big on mental health, and a lot of bullying went down. I was bullied a lot, and it really fueled a lot of my insecurities, which made me turn into an introvert. I didn't really hang out with people, but then when I got into my relationships, I turned those people into my go-to people for my sole supply of happiness. And after a while, I started to realize that this was something that was unhealthy. I can't keep leaning on other people to make me happy. But at the same time, I still was unwilling to do anything about it because, like I said, going to counseling, going to therapy was something that was kind of taboo. So there was 4 things I really realized about myself. That I had this view of perfectionism, and it was unhealthy. I felt as if I had to be perfect in every area of my life, and I knew this was all something that was just part of my insecurities. I felt like I had to be perfect in work, in my parenting, in my relationship. I would do things that to the extreme, pretty much. Back then I called myself the jack of all trades, but today I realized that jack of all trades is actually a bad thing. Sorry, car coming. I realized that being a jack of all trades is actually a bad thing, because if you focus your energy so much on so many different things, you can't master certain things in your life. And because I had this unrealistic way of living, I really failed at it. I couldn't keep up with that level of unrealistic expectations for myself. That's kind of one of the people that I study, Dr. Wayne Dyer. I study him now, and one of his favorite quotes of mine that I enjoy is expectations are premeditated resentments. So I had these perfectionist expectations on myself, which later I had on relationships, where I felt like the relationship had to be this certain way. Like if you weren't loving me the same way that I was loving you, that means you just don't love me at all. Or it means that you're falling out of loving me, or you're ready to leave me. And that's just unrealistic. Another thing I learned was, because of that, I was a people pleaser. Like, I didn't want anybody not to like me. I felt like everybody had to not only like me, they had to love me. So I lost myself in that way too. And this all has something to do with being an anxious attacher. So bear with me here, I'm getting there. This all has something to do with being anxious, or how I came to realize that I was an anxious attacher. I was a people pleaser. And this was every area of my life. Like, I would always be smiling. It's almost like I had to get into character just to leave the house. And then when I came home, I kind of unloaded at home, like, just kind of drug around the house, because around everybody else, I had to put on this facade. And once I realized, I'm just learning that part about myself now. Had to realize that I wasn't going to please everybody. And no matter what I did, no matter how I acted around them, no matter what I gave them, I just couldn't please them. And that's kind of something that we do as anxious attachers too. When we feel like somebody's leaving us, or we feel like they're going to be abandoning us, because that's one of our biggest fears is fear of abandonment. When we feel like they were pulling that away, and they wasn't giving us the love that we felt like we deserved, or the level that we needed in order to feel fulfilled in life, we start to please them. We give them extra stuff, we give them extra love. And I just wrote a quote on Instagram not too long ago. It said, extra love won't make a person heal their trauma. Like, you can't love someone out of their trauma. So with those two things being said, those two insecurities of mine are kind of unhealthy ways of acting and functioning in relationships. I guess it's kind of known, or it kind of leads you to understand that when you meet a dismissive avoidant, and if you're with a dismissive, those are two things you will never truly achieve in that relationship unless that person is willing to heal their attachment style as well. So if you're a perfectionist, you're going to always try to make things perfect, and you're going to try to make things the way that you feel, as a Hollywood way of going on dates, or, you set these bars really high, and then because they don't give you much feedback, and they don't give you like over praise for doing these things for them, it's going to make you feel like, man, I could never get that person to validate me. And that's all, that's what it really is as anxious, we seek that validation from people too. And if you never please that person, or if you feel as if you can never please them, no matter how many times you text them good morning and text them good night and say you love them, you're going to always feel like you're just lacking something. Those are things that really trigger an anxious attacher, because we want that same type of reciprocation in a relationship. And if you're not giving us validation and words of affirmation, which is validation, if you're not telling us how attractive we are or how beautiful we are, it's really tough for us to feel appreciated and feel fulfillment in that relationship. So it just triggers us. It triggers us into our very unhealthy nature. And then while being triggered, we kind of have these stories that we make up inside our head as to why you're not giving us validation, as to why you're not wanting to spend so much time with us, or if you're unavailable. We automatically go to the ants, ants, automatic negative thoughts. We start thinking, well, this person's not doing it for us, then they must be doing it for this person, or if they're not answering their phone, they must be out with this person. And we go to the automatic negative thoughts, which, I'm really working on myself. I've come a tremendous way on being able to get here, and I've also helped other people to, kind of join me on this journey as well. And once we have that automatic negative thought, we want to do something about it, and that's called the illusion of action. And we want to get that person in our grasp and kind of define a relationship. And if we feel like if we don't define a relationship, we're going to lose that person. But then I had to challenge myself many times before and wonder, what's the need for getting somebody to commit to us? Like, is there really a reason behind it? Because if you're hanging out, you're having fun, and you're enjoying each other's company, why do you need that label? And it's really because you fear, that's coming back again, that abandonment. You fear that person's going to leave you, because if you don't get them to a commitment, then they're going to play the field or go off and leave you for somebody better than you. But I tell my people that I work with, if you're struggling with anxiety, just let that person know, hey, I'm not trying to commit to you, but if we're going to be doing this, I want to make sure that we're like just seeing each other. We don't have to label the relationship, but it's really dangerous for us to be out and being with other people. And with COVID being around and with STDs out there, we want to make sure that we are able to have that agreement and come to that mutual understanding that this is how the relationship is going to operate. If you are the anxious person that's triggered about this whole deal, understand that the dismissive, usually if they're with you, if they're seeing you, they're not messing with anybody else. First off, relationships take too much time and energy for them already. So they wouldn't even be out fooling around if they are seeing you and giving you so much time. Like that's the one thing about that little terrorist inside of our head. Like, it hijacks us and makes us feel the impossible is actually possible. So if they're with you, 4 or 5 days a week, why are you so concerned about those other 2 days where they're not with you? Like, people do need their own space. So if you found this video of any value, please like, comment, and share. Reach out to me on my other social media accounts. Twitter is Coach Court 2, Instagram is I am Coach Court, and Facebook is I am Coach Court. Also, my TikTok is taking off. I am Coach Court on there also. Thank you guys, and I will talk to you soon.